Hi guys, welcome back. Today we'll be taking a look at some advanced topics related to JavaScript objects. Let's get started. I've opened up my JS Fiddle window and let's start by defining an object called fruits. And I'll say name apple, and I'll define another object called fruit bear, and I'll say again the same thing, name apple, right? And now let me show you something. If we try and compare them, fruit bear, this is fruits, and document.write fruits triple is equal to fruit bear. Now you know that double is equal to is used when you want to compare the value, and triple is equal to is used when we want to compare both the type and the value, right? So let's see what happens when you document.write or output it out. Basically you get false in both of these conditions. That's because JavaScript does not allow you to compare objects like this, because these are not the same objects, even though they have the same value, but according to JavaScript they don't have the same value and the type. That's because these are two different instances. The objects are completely two different instances, right? So this is something very important to keep in mind, because sometimes you receive data from APIs, right, and you want to compare them together to see if they're equal. So this clearly won't work. Now let me show you another example. Let's keep fruits is equal to the same value, and then let's keep fruit bear is equal to fruits. Now let's compare and see what happens. So now you get true and true in both the cases. That's because they're both basically fruit bear and fruits, they're both pointing to the same exact object. So now they can be compared, and now they're exactly equal, right, in both the conditions. Now let me show you something called as shorthand notation. So let's say let cat is equal to meow, and let dog is equal to woof, let bird is equal to beat, right? And let me define an object called sum object is equal to, and I'll say cat is equal to cat, and dog is equal to dog, and bird is equal to bird, and I'll say document.write sum object. So what's happening here? You basically you know that in an object there are key and value pairs. So cat, dog, and bird are three different keys that I have in this object, and they have three different values. Cat, which is defined here, which is meow; dog, which is again a variable defined here, which is woof; and bird again is a variable defined here, which is beat, right? So when I say document.write some object, I'll just get the object here. But if I say dot dog, then I'll get this value, woof. Woof, right, which is basically woof got assigned to dog, and dog got assigned to this key dog, right? So the value of woof came to dog, and that's how you can easily get the value here. So if I say cat, I'll get meow here. It's taking a while to load. Yeah, so you get meow here, right? Now what happens with the short notation is you don't need this. If both the sides are equal, the values of both the sides are equal, you don't have to assign it like this. You can simply do like this, and then you'll get the value, the same value. So you'll get meow again, and if I say dog, you'll get woof again. So it works exactly in the same way. So this is a shorthand notation, and that's very, very handy. You don't have to write the whole thing again, right? Now let me show you something called as computed property. So let's say let fruit is equal to prompt which fruit to buy, and second value is apple. Then let bag is equal to another object, bag is another object, and I'll say here fruit, I'll say 5, I'll say alert bag dot apple. So if you didn't understand this, it's completely alright, because I'll explain how this works. Now once you'll see the output, you'll automatically understand what this is. So the prompt here was basically which fruit to buy, right, which is this, which fruit to buy, and the value apple is inside this. So if I say okay, I get 5. What's happening here is basically inside this object called bag, right, I'm trying to access the value called apple. So it doesn't have the value apple right now, but it will have it, because fruit will get a value of apple, right, and the value will be assigned to 5 if after I say OK. So after I say, just a second, yeah, after I say OK, the value of root here it becomes apple, and the apple gets a value of 5. So that's how I can access back.apple and I get 5 here, right? So I hope that's clear. This is called as a computed value, the value that comes after computation, right? So let me now show you how to check for an empty object in JavaScript. So I'll say let fruit is equal to name and apple, the first example that we took, and we'll say here if object dot keys fruit dot length. This is how you can check for an empty array, and fruit dot constructor triple is equal to object with a capital O. And basically what this is saying is that if it's completely 0, if the length is 0, right? I'll explain to you again properly, but right now you have to understand that if the object is empty, then you write document.write hello, and if it's not empty, I'll say else here, and I'll say document.write not hello. Now we know that it's not empty, right? So we should get not hello, and we get not hello here, right? So what's happening here is that you have an object called fruit. It has the key called name and a value called apple, and you're checking if it's empty or it's not empty. So how to check if it's empty is that you get an object method called keys, object.keys, and I'll be covering this in a future video how this works. So this gives you these keys basically, right? So name is a key here, so you get keys dot length is triple is equal to 0, right? So we know that the key is not 0, right? The length of keys is not 0, it's 1, because there is one key here. And fruit dot constructor, is triple is equal to object, right? So the fruit is an object, and fruits this what do you call it, the length of keys is also equal to 0. So if both of these things are this is 0 and this is an object, then that basically means that the object is empty, right? And so you document.write hello, and if it's not is equal to 0, which basically is the case right now, it's equal to 1, so that means that the object is not empty, and so we'll output not hello, right? So that's what's happening here, you're getting not hello, right? So this is really important. You would need to keep checking if an object is empty or not, because sometimes you get data from an API, and you want to, in your front end, you want to check if whether to render it or not, right? And that's when you would need to check if the object is empty or not empty. So this is quite useful. Now I'll show you something called as an in operator in JavaScript for objects. So let's let user is equal to name John and age 30, right? And alert age in user, right? And alert blah in user. So let's run this code and see what happens. There's some problem with the alert, so rather than that I'll just write true and false, but I'll show it to you with document.write, because usually with JS Fiddle there is a problem with alert. So I'll say document.write. So you get true and you get false, which is basically age. Does age exist in user? Age is a property in user. Yes, it is. So you get true. And blah is in user. Blah is not a property in user. So you get false. So using the in keyword, you can check if a particular key exists in an object. So this is quite helpful as well. Now let me show you the delete operator. So I'll define another object called employee with the first name as John and last name as Doe. So we'll say console.log employee dot first name, and then we'll say delete employee dot first name. Let's output it again, employee dot first name. So what we're trying to do here is that we have an object called employee. It has first name and last name, and there are two values there, and then we'll try and output employee dot first name, which is John. So we'll get the value John here after we run this code, and then we're trying to delete the entire value called first name from this object, and after that we should get undefined ideally. So let's see. Oh, sorry, it's console, right? So this is going to probably show up in console. So you get John and you get undefined. So let me show it to you in document.write so that it makes more sense to you. Document.write and document.write. So you get John and you get undefined, right? So in the beginning it was John, it had a value for employee.first name, but then you deleted employee.first name completely from this object, and then you didn't have any value for it, so it said undefined. So this is what you can do if you want to delete any key and value pairs inside an object. This is very handy again. So I hope you learned something in this video, and these are all really important and really handy techniques that I showed you today, and these will really help you in your JavaScript code. And thanks a lot for watching. If you like these videos, then do subscribe. Thanks a lot.